Welcome, one and all.
Sorry.
All right, fair enough. That's fair enough. Yes. Welcome, one and all, to the non-extreme version of the WWE TLC 2020 results review and ratings post-show. I am your champion, your 8-time champion, Tony fucking G. Like, share, subscribe. But before we get into the card, it must be noted that in Phil's absence, he witnessed a true tragedy tonight where I only came up with 3.5 points on a 6-match card, whereas my co-host for the evening, the one, the only, Chicken, has now become a two-time champ. I'm gonna hand it to you. I hope it gets there quickly.
Yeah. I'm grabbing from the wrong side.
Yeah.
And not only did I win it, I called it perfectly, with the exception of our tiebreaker of when Miz would come in, which I originally thought Miz would, but because of the timing change, I changed my mind. So if they didn't change the timing of the match, I would have been perfect on that too. So
yeah, you called a perfect night, and congratulations. It's going to be a rough one for Phil or I to get it back now, and depending on what event comes up next, it could be interesting. So we will go forward from here. But let's talk about this show tonight, folks.
There was some good and there was some bad. I'm not going to lie. There were some highlights. There were some highlights.
Yeah, there were some highlights. I agree. I thought overall they did a decent job doing this whole show, and I'm trying to find a positive right now after watching the main event, but we'll get to that one at the end.
Yeah, that's hard to do.
Oh my God. Okay, so starting out, let's just start out the gate. We had the WWE World Title match, Drew McIntyre versus AJ Styles, and I was shocked that this opened the show, but I get it. You can't have both world titles back to back. So I'm just going to run through some of the notes that I had on the match. AJ puts in a chair. They brawled outside a little bit. Then AJ stuffed a chair into the corner. Drew nails a slingshot to AJ into the chair. That was a really nice little spot. Drew hits a suplex onto the ladder, uses the ladder onto AJ's leg. It was kind of a neat little spot. Yeah, cool. AJ gets the calf crusher through the ladder and then on a chair. That was a cool little spot. He worked the leg really well. Drew's on the ladder and he launches a chair. AJ falls off. There's a counter from AJ, goes for the phenomenal forearm, and Drew grabs him in a belly suplex, throws him over. He falls on the ladder. Really rough looking spot.
That was that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, that hurt like hell. Then the overhead press to the outside, like Drew's a fucking monster. He takes AJ right over his head, dumps him over the top rope, through a table.
Might have thrown him just a tad.
Yeah, the tailbone just splat on the outside, right? That looked rough. But this is when Miz comes in, and he does successfully cash in. It's now a triple threat. Like, okay, now shit's getting real. We could see a new champ. This is fun. This is exciting. But then he pisses off AJ's manager, who baby carries him over the top rope and just dumps him outside through a tape.
A really good spot though. Like he perfectly dropped him onto that table. Like Miz looked like the ineffectual bitch that he really is. Like,
yeah,
it was fantastic. Like he come up. It was perfect. He tries to hit him in the back with a chair. The chair shatters, and he doesn't move. He turns around, picks up his in like this little cradle position, like he's a little baby, and walks into the edge of the ring and throws him through. Like this. Obviously, it's dumb, but like just the cinematography, the story of it, like it was funny, it was silly, it was old school.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed it 100%. My son, 12 years old, was like, "Dad, why didn't he punch that guy?" I go, "Yeah, it's wrestling."
Yeah, that's the answer. Just give anytime. It's wrestling. Eventually got all three on the ladders. AJ springs back after getting knocked off. He springs back on. knocks Drew off. Drew then pushes both of them off, hits a Claymore on the Miz. He goes back up top. He gets the belt. Drew McIntyre does retain the world title. Honestly, this was a really good opener. I enjoyed the match quite a bit. Like you said, the storyline was good. The storytelling was on point. All the guys involved did a good job, even the outside interference. I really liked it. It went a long way, but it didn't go too long. It was about the right length, but I'm always going to have a bit of a soft spot for the multiple man TLC matches, and this was really mostly just a one-on-one match, so it's hard to get a decent flow in a car crash match with only one or two guys as your opponent. So that hurt it for me, because I remember, the triple threat tag team matches that started the TLC match. I only gave it 3.75, but I could have gone a little higher.
My gut reaction was a 3.75 as well. I wanted to give it a 4 because I got my kid next to me watching it, and I'm seeing his excitement for it, and I've not seen his excitement for a match ever like he was for that one. He was into that. Like, the fact that you have a young audience, 12 years old, that's seeing it like I saw it when I was 12. Just for that component, I'm gonna go with my kid on it. I'm gonna give it a 4 because that's important for the future of the WWE. If they can do more matches like that captivate a young audience like that and can compel younger audiences, it's a seller. That was a great match overall.
There you go. Like you said, that if you can capture the young audience, and that's how you build the new stars. And both of these guys they're pretty well seasoned veterans at this point, but it's important to keep building stars regardless of how seasoned they are. And Drew McIntyre's been seasoned all year, and this was another nice win for him. So kudos, Drew McIntyre. Moving down the card, we did have the SmackDown Women's title as the next match. It's trying to change the banner on. Come here, you little bitch.
Come.
It's stuck on AJ Drew now.
Do you want me to pull up the old banners that we
might have to? I don't know why.
I sure can.
It's stuck on them for some reason now.
Because then did it go to the tag team match after that?
Yeah, the next match was the Carmella versus Sasha.
Okay, I'll pull that up. There we go. Okay, I got it coming. Anyway, so Carmella versus Sasha.
What'd you think of this one?
I was so torn on this one. There were so many good moments that could have made this a really, really great match. In my opinion, honestly, I thought there was several moments where I don't know if I should blame Carmella or if I should blame Sasha on some of these, because it was hard to tell who was at fault on some of the missteps that they had. But there were some great moments, and the one that I had texted you on was like Carmella did the driver, the head driver, and it obviously wasn't supposed to be that heavy, and it wasn't supposed to be that harsh. And I kind of blamed it on Sasha for mistiming the jump, and she smacked her goddamn face on the mat super hard. And then they did it. And of course, then they did a 3 roll-up pin, like to give her some time to recover, or whatever the case may be. But I was just like, it looked really good. That wasn't supposed to happen that way. That was really dangerous. And it was almost to the point where if her body was elevated a little bit higher, it could have been like a crown hit on the ground. And that was what probably scared me with it. I've seen enough head injuries and head falls. It was getting close to dangerous at that point.
Yeah, I really liked how Carmella was really working the frustration angle. She's a really decent worker. For whatever she lacks in in-ring talent, she's actually a good worker. But the spot where the manager almost dropped her, and then that was horrifying. I thought he was going to
when he caught her.
Yeah. Then But after that, they had a good apron spot. Sasha did Three Amigos and the Frog Splash, homage to Eddie Guerrero. Love seeing that, but she only got a 2 count.
Yes, that was good.
Yeah, Carmella did a counter off the top. They went into tilt-a-whirl backbreaker spot, but that's when Carmella hit that X Factor, spiked her face into the mat. That was horrifying. You're right. It looked impressive as hell, but Sasha always bumps like an insane person. I can't believe she's not injured every other week. Mella did a kick to the head on the aprons. Then Banks grabs the top rope. They trade pins. The submission trades, I really liked that. They were even. They were matched. Neither one could get the upper hand. I loved spots like that. That's what she got in the Banks statement, and I thought maybe that was going to be it, but the manager pulled her out.
I think the only thing I missed on mine was at the beginning of the match when she had the knee in the back and pulling the arms back. Like, you see this in every match, and most people try to sell it. Like, I'm really trying to hurt them. No. Carmella was just like, look at me, I'm pretty. Look at me, I'm pretty. And I was just like, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing in this, because everybody already knows this doesn't hurt. And the fact that you're not even showing that you're trying to hurt her, like, makes it worse in the long run. That one bothered me just a little bit. I want to take a half point off the match just because of that spot too.
That's fair enough. Mella did finally get the upper hand again a little bit, but she only got a 2 count. Then Sasha locked in the Bank statement again. That's when Carmella taps out. Sasha does retain. She's still your SmackDown Women's Champion. I really wish I'd have picked Sasha now. I wanted to, but I'm like, God, something just tells me they're going to do it, but they didn't. So I'm kind of expecting a rematch here, and I don't know. I doubt that Sasha's going to win 2 straight, but we'll see where they go from here. Overall, I liked it enough. I gave it a 3.
2.75. I was disappointed. I thought Sasha really tried to sell the match. I didn't see the same from Carmella, honestly. It's not that Carmella wasn't trying. I just don't think she landed everything she was supposed to, and some of it kind of seemed a little, I don't know. Of course, I don't want to use the F word here, but it was a little overdone. It was a little overdone.
It was a little fucky.
A little fucky. Sure. No, I was saying fake, but.
Oh, okay. That F word. Yeah, we don't say that one, you fucking asshole. So moving down the card, we did have the Raw Tag Team Championship match, the New Day versus the Hurt Business in this one. And I really liked this match. The storyline going in was the New Day is kind of a step ahead of the Hurt Business, but then the Hurt Business was really shining with Cedric Alexander, which I liked. And early on in this one, the New Day just came out like a ball out of fire, and they just rolled. They were just rolling them. I was like, holy shit, they're just going to steamroll these guys. But then out of nowhere, that's when the Hurt Business gets the upper hand, and they finally, then they kind of dominated for a little bit. I liked that. It was a pretty solid back and forth tag team match at this point, which is really nice to see. The New Day's such a good team at telling a story and working together to get a legitimate looking spot instead of just cooperative horse shit. Like, it looks like you're actually a 2-on-1 fight, not just guys doing Cirque du Soleil bullshit. So I liked that. The collision in the middle, that's when they both kind of fell off and you didn't know who was going to get the other upper hand. They hit the double tags. Kofi gets in and just takes over at that point. But then it gets up on, was it Shelton Benjamin's shoulders?
Yeah.
And it looked like they're doing like a doomsday spot. He almost fell off, but he kind of hung on and he managed to save it and he countered it. I was shocked. I was like, holy shit, this is it. Kofi's going to land on his fucking head. We're done here. But he saves it. That's when Cedric hits the knee into the brain buster. Then they hit the superplex with Shelton. Had the blind tag. Shelton was ready to hit the fucking finish, but Cedric slaps the back, gets the Gets in, gets the lumbar check. 1, 2, 3. You do have new tag team champions in the Hurt Business. I liked the finish a lot. You got the new champs. They're happy to be champs, but there is that tension where why does Cedric keep stealing my fucking glory? I'm kind of pissed off about it. So I don't know if it's going to be a lengthy run, but I'm glad to see the belts on them.
I kind of called it ahead of time. I brought it up prior to the match. Maybe I didn't allude to it a whole lot, but I think this Cedric over celebration, tagging himself in thing, I think this is going to play out of a little tension. You're going to see some animosity. You're going to see one or two things. Either they're going to rally behind him, or he's going to end up being the enemy of the whole group, and we see a split of the entire group. But overall, yeah, I agree. It was a fun match to watch. Overall rating, especially with the spot that you mentioned where like they were trying to do the off the top of the ropes. He had him up on his shoulders, and you could obviously see he's like flailing his arms around, trying to make something happen in the match. It just seemed sloppy. The whole match, in my opinion, seemed before that, it seemed like they were slipping, missing basic moves. It just seemed like there was a lot of misses going on in the entire match, between the slips, the misses, the shoulder thing, and it was really hard to I loved it. It was a good match, but there was mistakes in there, and I can't let them go.
No, you're right. The flow was good. Like the flow of the match was fine.
They just missed it.
There was just a few spots where they weren't on point, which shocks me because these guys have been working matches for weeks now. But when it came time to deliver the big one and do the title change, there were a few spots where they just didn't click right. That surprised me. Because like I said, 3 out of 4 guys are vets.
But I did call that the Alexander thing. It's going to keep going. They're going to bandwagon this. He's going to be the antagonist. And oh yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm excited for the fact that they won, because now they're getting a rally behind him, and we see the potential for a real fucking storyline here. I don't know if we go super heel with this, or if we try to curb this the other way. I know there's political, things that
well, Phil nailed it when he said they missed the opportunity to call this faction Black Lives Matter. Like, why didn't they just do that?
Well,
they should have just done that. Cedric wears the armband. I think at least he's doing that. And what I like about this is there's the obvious parallel to, you remember back in the day, the Nation of Domination. That's when The Rock like became The Rock. When he became the leader of the Nation of Domination, that's when he broke out of that mid-card scene and really cemented himself as a dominant force. So I would love to see something like that happen here. I don't know if they have the guy in the group yet. Cedric could be that guy. He's just a tad bit undersized to be a main eventer, I think. But you've got that core group of guys where if you got that potential future superstar in that group and eventually did that turn, you could have that parallel. I think that would be a great way to set the next superstar up. And something WWE has lacked in a big way for quite a while is building
WWE's missed out on fucking big name superstars, and just
overall though I liked the match. I gave it 3 1/4.
Oh, I'll give it a solid 3. That's tough to do. I wanted to give 2.75, but I thought overall the match was good. It was just the spots. The missed spots. I couldn't go above.
That's fair. I get it. Next up, we did have another tag team championship match. This time, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler defending against Asuka and the mystery opponent, which we both figured out right away, Charlotte Flair.
The Queen.
The Queen. She's back, and I'll just go ahead and say it. She's been off for like 6 months, and maybe not quite that long, but I know she was legit hurt. I think she had just a little bit of work done in the cheeky bone area. She had a really thin looking face. I'm like, wait a minute. I think maybe Charlotte did a little something while she was gone.
Maybe a little extra surgery that went on.
Allegedly.
Woo! Nothing wrong with making yourself look a little bit better when you got that kind of money and you're hiling, styling, and profiling. Why not?
Yeah. You do whatever the hell you want when you're a Flair. We both expected it, but I said Jackson Baszler would get the win here. You did have Asuka and Charlotte to win. That's what capped it off for you. Honestly, this match, it wasn't like a tag team classic or anything. Like, they basically just all got in there and kind of did their greatest hits of spots.
Yeah.
And that's all it needed to be. Because this is not like they were building a storyline up to this. It was a surprise mystery partner returning Charlotte Flair. So it's not like this had to be a war of attrition. You just had to get in there. You had to do the classic spots. Asuka got hers in. Charlotte got hers in. Jackson Baszler did what they do. And that's what it needed to be. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was a crowd pleaser. You got the new champions in the end. I did like that they weren't afraid to do that and pull the trigger on it. I'm interested to see what Asuka and Charlotte do as champions. I don't know. This could be interesting.
I don't know if I'm interested in that.
I honestly think it's going to be short-lived. I really do. That's why I couldn't pick them to win the belts outright tonight, but I get it. You got to have a bit of a shock value at some point. I don't think this is going to be a lengthy run. So I don't know, but it could be it could set up for Asuka Charlotte again. I'd love those two in matches. I don't know. It was all right. I gave it a 3-star.
Yeah, overall, I didn't hate the match. I thought I knew it was going to be Charlotte. It was pretty obvious. She's been quiet on social media for a long time. We all knew eventually Charlotte would be back, and my thought was like, you don't bring Charlotte back without a win. Like her, when she comes back, it's gonna be a win. And they had to fit her in. This was the perfect timing with the ratings dropping. The women's division just sucking so fucking bad lately. Like, you had to reignite the fan base. What better way to do it than Charlotte coming back with Asuka winning the championship? Who knows what'll happen after that, but it gets people wondering and asking questions. Exactly what we're going to end up doing after this show. Made sense to me. But yeah, it was a pretty plain Jane match. I honestly, like, you gave it a 3. Is that right?
Yeah, I gave this one 3.
I thought it was boring. The story sucked. Other than Charlotte's return, like there was nothing there. I give it 2.5 because you're right. Okay. It was just the same shit you see over and over again. Like, I was not impressed by anything. It was pretty plain Jane. This should have been a if it wasn't for Monday Night Raw's ratings sucking so bad, this would have been on Monday Night Raw.
And they could have saved they could have saved this for Monday Night Raw. They could have telegraphed this a little bit. Hey, Charlotte's coming back. That would have drove ratings up a little bit. Maybe they should have gone that way with it. But I don't know. I think this is one of those matches that, had they put this on Raw, had you had a crowd watching this, with the return, that's going to get you the crowd reaction. The crowd is going to be into it. It's going to be a hot crowd. It's going to be a live crowd that's into the match that way. And they could have the same exact match, but that crowd reaction easily would have bumped this up a little bit. You know, it does take a lot to get past the fact that you're listening to pumped-in generated crowd noise and fake, live supposed video screens. But if you get past that and you can get sucked into the match and pretend and suspend disbelief, which you already have to do with the product, you can understand why this would have been a big match in front of a crowd. But I think you're right. You save this for Raw, do the title switch there, get the reaction, telegraph that for the ratings' sake, and it could have been a different one. But I don't know. It wasn't bad by any means, but yeah, it was pretty plain. So 3, and said 2.5. That's more than fair. Coming down the line, we did have surprisingly, Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens in a TLC ladder match for the Universal title. I thought this would be the main event, but it was not, and you will see why soon enough. But here we go. This one was actually a lot more draining than I thought it would be. I did not expect this to get as intense is the wrong word, because Roman's very methodical in his offense now, which I like, but I have a ton of notes here. Stop me if you want to jump in.
Go ahead.
Here we go. Roman comes out. Kevin Owens jumps in with the sneak attack. He immediately goes on the offensive. Just starts mauling Roman. He gets the cannonball into the barricade on the outside. Then he hits the splash off of the ring apron. I love this spot. Like, okay, Kevin Owens is coming out like a ball out of fire. I'd love to see that. Fired up KO is the only way I believe him as a face. Jey Uso already hits the ring. Like, you knew that was coming immediately, and here he is. But Kevin Owens pretty much dumps him down real quick. He neutralizes him. But as he's doing that, Roman Reigns hits a huge drive-by on the ring apron, starts taking over. He starts just destroying him with the ring stairs. Loved this spot. I'm like, holy shit, that looks stiff as fuck. Justin Chris, considering the storyline, I thought Kevin Owens was going to take it, and that tells you.
There was a couple times I was like, I was questioning.
Yeah. That's just it. That tells you how good the storyline was going into this. If you believed enough that they would pull the belt off of Roman Reigns, then they were doing a good job telling the story. Then instead of the ring steps, he just beats the holy shit out of him with a steel chair. Then he takes two chairs. They're set up in the middle of the ring, facing each other. Kevin Owens tries to back body drop Roman into it, but then he ends up, he tried to power bomb him. He gets back body dropped. Thick spot. Like, I hate to see that, especially a guy the size of Kevin Owens. You know that shit's gonna fucking hurt.
There was a lot of those hurt moments in this match, which I respect both guys a ton for.
Oh yeah,
holy shit, this one was brutal on both of them. I know you're going to talk about all the other ones, but holy shit, there was the chair landings. It's one of those chair landings, I was like, oh, that didn't go well.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. Like, any one of these spots could go really nasty, and you got a guy who comes from that indie background that did crazy shit like this all the time. And Roman's a big dude, so all these shots are hurting like hell. Yeah. Roman starts climbing up the ladder, and that's when he takes the chair and he smashed it into his leg. That was one that I actually thought almost might have fucking hurt him. But that's when he hit the fisherman suplex onto the open chair. That's the one that I'm like, that had to fucking hurt. The open chair sitting there in the ring. Owens hits the fisherman suplex, destroys the chair. That looked awful. That spot's always made me cringe. Oh, they were hurting after the. You damn right.
Damn right they were.
They're in the ice tub after this one. Kevin Owens almost has the belt at this point. Jey Uso back in. Now it's 2-on-1. They are absolutely beating the shit out of Kevin Owens, as expected. You thought this was going to be the end of the match. I honestly did. But this kept going. Oh, Kevin Owens backdrops Roman hits with a stunner, pop-up powerbomb to Jey through the announce table. Roman powerbombed on a ladder. And this is Kevin Owens gets countered. He power bombs Kevin Owens onto the ladder. Michael Cole's call on commentary: spinebuster through the table. And I rewound it, and Roman Reigns power bombs Kevin Owens onto the ladder. Michael Cole says spinebuster through the table, and then they replay it. And he fucking said it again.
I'm not going to mention this because I think this comes to the last match of the night. My thoughts.
Fair enough. Oh my God, there's so much. Backdrop onto the ladder after that, the side of the ladder. Roman turned it sideways. Backdrop Kevin Owens onto that. That's just horrible looking. This is at that point. I'm like, there's nothing left for these guys to do, but they kept going. He takes him outside. Choke slams him through a table on the outside. He Samoan drops KO through a table on the outside. Roman goes up the ladder. The camera cuts, and you just see a Kevin Owens barely reaching to stop him. He laughs at him. He comes back down. I'm like, okay, he's going to like do something, and that's the match. He gets slapped in the face. Huge spear through the table in the corner. He rolls out of the ring. Roman gets out of the ring. He's like, come on, you have to kill me, Roman. Roman goes for a spear. KO dumps out of the way. He spears himself through the barricade. All right. At that point, you're like, maybe, just maybe.
Yeah, at that moment, I was like, oh, fuck. Kevin's going to win. I was like, holy shit, that's the turning point. Like, that's what you didn't see coming, and they got you. Like, and that was the good storyline right there.
Yeah.
That was that moment where they got the crowd to go, oh, fuck, Roman's not going to win this.
Yeah. There was a portion of me like, maybe they do. Maybe they do for a half second, but no. Instead, he goes to powerbomb. Was it Roman? But he eats a Superman punch. But then he ends up getting the powerbomb through a
Which
table.
was lazy, by the way. That was horribly done. Oh my god.
Agreed. That I rewound. I'm like, I thought my video skipped at that point. I had to go back a couple of seconds. Like, wait, did I miss something? No. He went to do it. He missed the powerbomb, ate a punch, basically no-sold it, and then he gave him a powerbomb through a table anyway. There was a ton of spots in this match.
Yeah.
They're still alive. He misses the spear. Jesus Christ. Like, there's so many. Like, the notes are ridiculous on this one. On the ladder, Jey Uso finally stops him. Like, Jey Uso's been in this match the whole time.
Fuck. Jey Uso was just annoying in this one.
Yeah, at this point, I'm like, okay, enough with the Jey Uso.
We knew Jey Uso would get involved, but it was like,
from the get-go. Yeah, it got old at this point. So Jay stops him. Roman's finally back up on the ladder. He hits a low blow like nut punch to Kevin Owens. Then he hits the guillotine on top of the ladder. Kevin Owens falls off. Roman grabs the belt. Good God. Okay. That's
so like the build up to the whole match to the ending was not sufficient. Like the build up to it, it was just like back and forth, back and forth, and back and forth, and and it was action packed. It was so cool. There was a lot of good stuff going on. Yeah, sure, there was a couple of missed spots and things we can shit on, but overall, it was so exciting. It was so fun. And then you get the final march up to the top where you expect this magical showdown, and he grabs him in a guillotine.
Yeah.
He grabs it in a weak-ass guillotine.
That's the thing.
And then Kevin Owens just kind of lazily falls over.
Yeah.
But then, like, it still took 10 to 20 seconds to get after that belt.
Yes.
And they kept doing the screenshot of Jey Uso at the bottom of the ladder. I was like, is he going to knock the fucker over and screw his cousin over? I'm like, that'd be fucking cool. Like, do it. Like, that's what I wanted to see at that point. I'm like,
at that point.
Yeah, because like this guy's been a little puppet for so long. But I get it. It's probably a setup for something for the future. They want you to think that. They want you to think that that's going to happen. And he thought it. So they're placing that thought in your head, which was smart, but they didn't need to drag it out for 30 seconds.
No, and I think the thing about it is, like, Roman's been winning all of these matches since he got the title back with the guillotine. Yeah. They're trying to establish that that's his new go-to finish is the guillotine, which I get.
That was the weakest looking guillotine I've ever seen. Oh my God.
That's just it. Like, it didn't even look good this time. But they had so many different spots in this match where they could have gone home. They could have finished the match. You thought that was going to be it. They were big, holy shit spots. Like, okay, this is going to be it. This is going to be it. And then ending is another guillotine. Yeah, I didn't love the finish of this, but overall, yeah, the match, I really enjoyed it a lot. I gave it 3.75.
I gave it a 3.5. I wanted to shit on it, but overall, I loved it. It was fun. It was fun to watch. So 3.5 for me.
That's the funny thing. Like, they found a way to make this work as a one-on-one match. Well, 1.5-on-1 match, a little better than AJ and Drew did, because it was just non-stop car crash spots. Like, you're not getting a technical wrestling match out of this, but they found a way to make this just high impact after high impact. I don't know. I really liked it. I rated him the same, but I did like this one. I'm glad this one went on second as opposed to that one that opened. So I think they did it about right. Okay. So let's do this. The main event of WWE TLC. Randy Orton versus The Fiend in a Firefly Funhouse Inferno match. I really thought this was going to be a cinematic pile of shit. It was not cinematic. They actually did end up going live-ish. There were so many fucking weird camera cuts, though. It's hard to tell at which point was actually live and which point was pre-recorded. They did find a way to blend it a little bit, but you could tell when they were cutting to pre-records. So overall, match itself, nothing to write home about. But basically, this match started after they both went for finishers. The Fiend hits a Sister Abigail.
Can I just say before we go any further, I wanted to say this in the pre-show, in our production show, that because I was like, Randy Orton's gonna win. That was my prediction. I was ready for that. But I wanted to throw a qualifier out there that if Randy Orton came out and closed, he would probably not win. But I was like, no. They've probably thought of this.
Yep.
But I was still skeptical, so I just didn't talk about it. I didn't say a word. And the first thing I said to you when Randy Orton walked out wearing a fucking hoodie for the whole thing, I was like, Randy's going to lose.
That's what I thought, too. I'm like, he brought that up in the pre-show. This is how they get out of it. Obviously, he can deflect the flames with his hoodie and windbreaker pants. But
if he doesn't have any clothes on, he can't burn. So
well, I messaged him like, man, the old school Inferno matches, they dim the lights and they'd have fire surrounding the ring. And immediately
as soon as you said that, it fucking popped up on the
screen. He hits the Sister Abigail on Randy, and then all of a sudden, the fucking place erupts in fire, spirals of fire. Like the entire ringside is just erupted in flames, and it stayed that way for the. I'm like, okay, that's visually, that's pretty badass. And at that point, the camera cuts were actually kind of cool. You'd get it through the flames. I liked that. The visually, it was really impressive.
A couple of things they learned from prior matches, and I know we'll get into this more, but like they took this, they tried to take the cinematography approach to a live match approach.
Yep.
It was close. It was better. They still missed. They still missed big time.
Randy Orton did the match with Edge, and they pre-taped the entire thing, but tried to pass it off as happening live. But they were doing camera angles from in between the wrestlers, and then they'd cut to another camera shot where there's no cameraman. And it made no sense. They've learned from that, like you said, but you could still tell when they were doing cuts. They get out in the ring, and the Fiend pulls out a leather strap. He hits Randy with it a few times, throws it away, reaches back under the ring, pulls out another strap that has a slight discoloration. He lights it on fire. Oh, yeah. Well, he swings the flaming fucking strap at him. He misses, but then they pull out the chair.
It's a totally different color at the end of it.
Well, this is what I'm trying to figure out, because they pull out
I couldn't tell if it was covered in blood or because the gasoline made it turn red, or like
I'm not sure, because I feel like it was the coloration of whatever they poured hitting the wood. I don't know. It looked weird as shit though. But Randy,
then they would do these like zoom outs, and like you're right, he had these straps that were on fire. They're leather straps poured in gasoline. What's gonna happen? They're gonna keep burning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they would whip each other with them, and then they would throw them to the side, and magically they disappear and the fire's gone.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And magically the announcers aren't anywhere to be seen in these zoomed out shots, but they're there talking.
They must have moved him to an undisclosed location, I guess. I don't know. But they pull this rocking chair out, and the Fiend dumps fucking gasoline allegedly all over it. And then lights a trail. He makes a trail, puts Randy in the chair, pulls out a lighter, and you get the close-up shot of him with the Bic, and he drops the Bic in the flame, and the flame follows him up. There's Zippo.
Don't want haters.
He flies out of the chair before it erupts in flames, and it looks like there's blood on the chair. It got a little weird at this point.
No. How about the match when they went to go light the fire again, and it was the match? Have you ever seen a match with that long of a red tip? Like it was like a 1 inch long match, and 3/4 of it had that like red burning wick piece of it. I literally I've been a smoker not my whole life, but a fucking huge chunk of my life. I have never seen a match that had that long of a red goddamn igniter.
Yeah.
Like, you do not need that. Like, all you need is a little bit. Like, I don't understand what that was and why they needed it other than to ignite. It was so bad.
I feel like bad spots better in the backyard back in the day doing these fire spots. Well, that's the thing. Like,
if you get back to your review of the match, I'm sorry, I
know it's ludicrous.
It was so bad.
Parts. Well, that's why I'm trying to figure out what they used as an igniter, because the liquid was not gasoline. Obviously, you could tell that looking at it. I don't know if it was rubbing alcohol. That's what we always used to use back in the day because it'd go out like that. So then they're outside. They're near the guardrail, and there's a really close spiral flame. He's almost got Randy in it. He turns the Fiend around, and he backs him up into. He's trying to get him in a hole, and all of a sudden, the Fiend lights on fire on the back, and you see him doing the stuntman spot. Oh no, I'm on fire!
And at that moment,
wavy arms.
At that moment, I stood up and shouted in my basement, "Perfect!" I was perfect. Yes.
Well, that's what I thought, but then it didn't end. It wasn't over at this point. Like, they didn't call for the bell. They didn't say the match is over, because in Inferno matches, you light your opponent on fire. That's it. I'm like, okay, maybe they got to keep going. So they get in the ring. Randy Orton hits an RKO on the Fiend. Never mind. Last year, it took Seth Rollins
the RKO put the fire out. Did you notice that?
That's true. It did.
I did not know. RKOs are a great fire extinguisher.
Mm-hmm.
For future reference, you don't need to stop, drop, and roll. Just yell at a friend.
Somebody RKO
me.
Yep, and you're good. He does. He hits the RKO. The flames go out, and then the Fiend lays there, dead. Seth Rollins murdered him with a sledgehammer after hitting 15 curb stomps last year at Hell in a Cell. That didn't do it. Randy Orton hits one RKO, and the Fiend lays there. Dead
after a little fire on his back.
After being on fire on his jacket. Okay, folks, here's where it went to shit. He rolls him over, and he just lays there dead. Randy Orton goes to the outside. He grabs the can of gasoline. He comes back in the ring. He dumps the can of gasoline all over the Fiend.
But wait,
all of it.
There's more.
He goes back out, gets the matches, comes back in the ring, then stands there, then lights the matches, then watches the matches burn, and it keeps cutting from Randy watching the matches burn.
This was the match I'm bitching about. Like,
Yes.
this thing went on for fucking ever. It's not a real match. Like, this thing was so ridiculous. It was so stupid.
The whole point was so they could cut back and forth between him watching the match burn to the Fiend laying there dead. Match burn, Fiend dead. Match burn, Fiend laying there. And then, and it's Bray Wyatt the whole time laying there. He's laying there the whole time covered in this alleged gasoline. And they kept cutting back and forth. Dead Fiend, Randy watching the match. Dead Fiend, Randy watching the match. Dead Fiend, Randy watching the match. And then, when they cut back from Randy watching the match the last time, this is what you saw. Suddenly, Bray Wyatt lost 80 pounds, and his skin is pitch black.
And he lost his fingers. This whole picture is so bad. And you get to see this for like 2 seconds. Like, on TV, seeing this, I could tell this was like I felt so bad. My 12-year-old was right next to me, and as soon as I seen that, and it was like on the screen for like 2.5 seconds, I'm like, that's fake as fuck.
Oh my god,
that was the first thing to get, because I have no filter and I say everything I think.
Yeah,
I immediately went, that's fake as fuck, and then
I
and then he
believe it.
lit it on fire.
I could not believe it. Like, those of you listening on audio, Randy Orton finally flicks the match down at Bray Wyatt, who has immediately been replaced with a clear fake body. It's not even remotely close to looking real. Like I said, he's lost 80 pounds. He has no fingers. His skin is black. Like, it couldn't look more fake. It hits the body. It engulfs in flames. We've just witnessed a murder by fire on live TV. I can't, honest to God, believe that this.
So Justin said it best.
Oh my
It would have
God.
been great in the early 90s.
Well, before we had DVR to rewind shit and look at it, like, there's no excusing it. It was horrible.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I've honestly still been trying to figure out
the commentary added with it. Like, you could tell at the beginning of the match, like, they were talking, and then all of a sudden it went silent in mid-sentence.
Yeah.
I was like, oh shit. This whole thing was scripted, pre-recorded, and oh god. Like, within 10 seconds of the match, I knew. I was like, this is gonna be I was like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great. They didn't script it. They didn't do the cinematography shit. And then 10 seconds in, they cut the audio and fucked it all up. And then this happens. I'm like, oh my god.
It's so painful. I expected something crazy, but I didn't expect that. They burned a doll on live TV as the announcers pretended somebody just burned to death. And I'll say it as I'm about to give my rating. There was a complete and utter lack of Alexa Bliss in this match, so I'm going to give this 1 shit.
Oh, God. Yeah, I'm with you.
1 shit. Somehow.
I'm with you.
Way.
1 shit. 1 shit.
One
I'm
shit.
with you.
I didn't think it was possible that WWE would have another contender for worst thing to happen. They found a way to do it. Like, this was horrible. It could have been good. They could have done it better. I think this is all Vince McMahon. Like, honestly. Oh,
but I was right.
Put a body out there. They won't know the difference.
I was right.
Yeah,
2021 is the Fiend's year. He's going to take over and gain vengeance on all of this bullshit, right? I hope. I fucking hope.
I can't wait to see the reincarnation of the Fiend. Like, that's the best takeaway from this.
He's dead. 2020 is over. They burn Fiend.
He's dead.
He's dead.
He's dead.
Reincarnation. He's the new dead man. Undertaker's gone. We have a new Undertaker. It's the Fiend. And now he will rule every WrestleMania for the next 35 years, right?
But yet can't figure out why the ratings are dropping. Laugh my ass off. Yes, thank you, Justin Chris. And shout out to Justin Chris and the Yanked Up Podcast. Check him out.
Podcast. What up?
Okay, so yeah, that was a horrible fucking ending to what was actually an okay show. So they found a way to fuck it up. Any closing thoughts, champ? You are now a 2-time Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast champion. I will get the belt to you and figure out how I will get it back sooner than later, preferably.
I appreciate the opportunity. Let me come on, since I horribly fucked up my last chances several months ago. I will admit I was moving. I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't watching anything. And I mistakenly, on the last time, and Tony and Phil, I'm gonna be a true champ here. I gotta have a moment with my folks here. I just knocked a bunch of shit over with my foot. I gotta have a moment. The last time that I competed for this belt, I was driving to Iowa looking for houses and was not really watching anything, paying attention to anything. And I asked my wife, I handed her my phone and said, hey, look up this pay-per-view event. And I told her the wrong one. And I placed my bets on that. And so none of my bets lined up with theirs. I knew it was wrong. I knew it was weird. I really didn't care. I had about 20 minutes to get them in, so it was what it was. Anyway.
Yeah.
I am your new champ, regardless, now that I'm educating myself on what's going on in the world of wrestling. I've obviously dominated tonight. Even Phil KOE himself could not have beat me tonight unless he had a perfect score and predicted the Miz. The only way Phil could have beat me is predicting the Miz correctly and being perfect as I was. So
yeah,
well deserved.
Pretty epic performance to close out the year. I'm a little shocked. I'm a little disheveled, and now Phil and I will be doing the year in review without the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast Championship, which again I will hand to you. Be careful here as I hand it over. There you go. Okay, you got it.
No, anyway, when's year in review gonna happen?
We're gonna get it knocked out before the end of the year, ideally, and I don't know if we're doing it live or not, but for sure we will get it knocked out before the first of the year.
Let me know the date. I am taking a week off of vacation, and I am not known to drive 4 hours and get a hotel room just for the fuck of it and get drunk with somebody. So
that's true. That's fair. Well, then I wouldn't have to mail this thing to you. That'd be even better.
Save you $20 in shipping. Yeah.
All right. So again, folks, like, share, subscribe, the little bell, hit that, get your notifications. Again, this was probably the last event of the year unless we do something fucking crazy, but I don't think I have it in me after watching a dead body burn alive on pay-per-view. So again, this is Chicken, the 2-time champion now. I am Tony fucking G. Like, share, subscribe. Thanks for joining us for this shit show. Join us before the end of the year for the year in review. God, there's a lot to cover, and there's a lot of shit to talk. So we will see you there.
As always, appreciate you. Love you. Bye.